Oh, good afternoon. My name is Drew Sinclar. I'm an artist, graphic designer, graphic harvester, and graphic facilitator. And I'm also currently studying as a transpersonal arts therapist. So some of the activities that we're going to do today are going to be in the realm of creativity, as well as finding very wholesome and healthy ways of sharing information with each other and forming like positive groups. So, can everybody hear me okay? All right, so to start, what I'd like for us to do, if you don't mind, is just to stand up. Okay, and we're just gonna just shake our hands a bit. I'm sure, like, I've been spending a lot of time on the computer, and it's really good just to kind of shake out the energy a little, so just shake your hands. Okay, shake them from side to side. Good. Shake them up and down. Good. Now allow your shoulders to kind of shake. Just feel a nice little shimmy in your shoulders. Ah, good. And allow your waist to wiggle a little bit as your shoulders shake. Good. Okay, now you're going to just engage your legs as well. So I want you just to go on your tiptoes just a little bit. So as you come up, your shoulders shake, your legs are shaking, you're going up on your toes. You can feel your whole body shake. Shaking a bit too much. Okay, so keep shaking, keep shaking. So what we're going to do, okay, and allow your head just to bounce a little bit, okay? Just as your body shakes. Allow your whole body just to shake. Okay, good. Now take a seat. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to just take a few breaths as well before we get started. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is we're going to do something called a box breath. And what it is, we're going to breathe in through our nose, we're going to hold, and then we're going to breathe out through our mouth. Okay, we're just going to center and just ground our bodies. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is just breathe in through your nose and just hold. And now breathe out through your nose. Good. And hold again. Breathe in and hold. Good. And breathe out and hold. Okay, one more. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out and hold. Okay, now just breathe at your own relaxed pace. Okay, all right, let's get started. I have a bit of a presentation to show you. Okay, so we're gonna make our way through the program, which is about graphic harvesting and a thing called World Café. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, can everybody see that clearly? Okay, so I'm a bit of a graphic designer as well, so I've done some fun illustrations. Hopefully you enjoy it. Okay. Okay, we are all visual thinkers, so let's get visually creative. Okay, so what is graphic harvesting, you might be asking? Okay, graphic harvesting is a great way to collect information in a visual way and share it with a group in real time. And this is really important because it's really, the way that we take in information is so much more embodied when we see something visually. So I think, yeah, it's very nice to see images and text, which helps us to remember and retain the information. So this character is very happy. So graphic harvesting, we can translate interesting conversations into large text and inviting images on large sheets of paper or whiteboards, live right in front of your eyes. So many times I've done graphic harvesting sessions and I'm drawing right in front of the group. So it's a really good skill to have, just to be able to capture bits and pieces of conversations. No ways are you expected to actually capture an entire conversation, but you capture the most key parts. But it's very engaging and people really enjoy it. Okay. It can help you create great images that help your team better understand your ideas and thoughts. So what we're going to do, we're going to give this a try. Okay. So hopefully you have your pens or your pencils and a piece of paper with you. So what we're going to do, what I want you to do is take your piece of paper, and this is really just a warm-up exercise. So take your sheet of paper and I want you to take your pencil and just place it in the bottom left-hand corner of your page. Okay, I'm going to do this with you. And I want you to make your way from the bottom left-hand corner to the top right-hand corner, but you're going to go everywhere and anywhere you can on this page, okay? So just relax, breathe as you move with your pencil or your pen, and we're just going to get our bodies just back into this idea of drawing and making marks on the paper without actually writing anything. So just allow it to flow. So start at the bottom left-hand corner, and you're just going to make shapes and swirly patterns and just move around your piece of paper until you feel comfortable and you arrive at the top right-hand corner. So they could be sharp edges. They can go fast. You can move slow. But just explore how it feels just to make these marks on this piece of paper. Okay, good. Okay, now make your way to that top right-hand corner if you haven't already. Okay, so now this is just to loosen you up a little bit. So now we're going to do it. We're going to do a very similar exercise again, where I want you to take another piece of paper. And again, we're going to start in the bottom left-hand corner. And I want you to make your way from the bottom left-hand side to the top right-hand corner. But I'm going to say things while you're moving around this page. And I want you to allow your pencil or your pen just to move in the way you think it should if it was associated with this emotion. So I'm going to say some emotions and feelings. Okay. So as you move across your paper, I'm going to say an emotion, and I just want your pencil to kind of embody that emotion. Make a shape that you think would represent that type of emotion or feeling. Okay, so we ready? Okay, so go. Joy. Melancholy. Anger. Peace. Sadness. Enthusiasm. Okay, keep going. Just allow your pencil just to flow on that page. And as the word pops up, just make that motion. Sorrow. Excitement. Balance. And love. Okay, now make your way back to your top corner, to your top right-hand corner. Okay, good. So we're just exploring how emotions might be translated into drawings or movements. And it's usually quite abstract, but it does convey that feeling in just some simple marks on a page. And this is very useful in graphic harvesting because sometimes you'll use colors and shapes to represent something that someone said or felt during a meeting. Okay, so now we're going to go to the third exercise. So what I'd like you to do is take your third sheet of paper. And again, we're going to start in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, now this time I'm gonna say objects. Okay, and one thing about graphic harvesting is that you don't have to be, a trained artist, or you don't have to feel like you have to have be really skilled in art or drawing. It's all about expressing what's going on in the meeting or in the conversation. So stick men are really, really good for graphic harvesting, and very simple like line marks that represent something are always very good in graphic harvesting. So I want you to start from the bottom left-hand corner and go. And remember, we're making our way to our top right-hand corner, but try and cover the entire piece of paper, the whole sheet. Okay. Triangle, square, rectangle, face, canary wolf, laptop, a cup of tea, a drum, the sun, clouds, dog, house. Okay, good. So make your way to the top right-hand corner of your page. Okay, I would really like to see some of the things that you've done, if you don't mind. Um, I'm going to stop showing my screen. If you could just put some of your images up to your screen so I can see. Ah, good. Very nice. Okay, good. So we're loosening up. It's good. This is all about just loosening up the hands and getting into the flow of just making marks and drawing, because it can be quite stressful and daunting. Very good. When you first start to draw rather than write what you're experiencing in a meeting. Okay, so I have one final exercise with the graphic harvesting, and this is going to be a very challenging one, actually, but don't feel overwhelmed by it. Just do what you feel comfortable with, and I'm sure what you do is going to be great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one more time. Actually, no. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you a very short story, and I would like you to try and capture this story with a graphic harvest. Okay, so using the skills that I've just shared with you, I want you to try and draw the key elements in this story. Okay, it's a very short story. Okay, actually, I'm going to give you a choice. There's two stories that I could tell you. And if you raise your hand, just raise your hand. I'll tell you the two titles and raise your hand to the story that you think it sounds most interesting. Okay, the first story is The Boy Who Saw Death. The second story is The Lady with Perfect Aim. Okay, so which one would you like to go for? So The Lady with Perfect Aim. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. Or The Boy Who Saw Death. Okay, Lena. All right, so it seems like The Lady with Perfect Aim. Okay, so get your fourth sheet of paper. I'm going to tell you this story. I'm going to try and tell you very slowly, because a lot of the time in meetings, it's, things are going very fast and you try to capture what you can. But I'm going to move very slowly and just try to capture the key elements of the story. Okay. There was a man walking through the woods one day, and he came across a woman who was throwing stones into the forest. Every stone she threw made a cracking sound as it hit a tree. Every stone she threw seemed to be hitting a tree. The man looked at her and saw how her aim was so perfect. Every time she threw a stone, crack, it would hit dead center of that tree. So she looked over at the man and she said, "Would you like to try?" So she handed the man a handful of stones. Okay, I'll slow down a bit. So she handed the man a handful of stones. The man took the first stone and he threw it at the tree, but it went all the way to the left of the tree. So she said, try again. He threw the stone again and it went to the left of the tree. She said, try one more time. He threw the stone and again it went to the left of the tree. So she gave him some advice. She said, try throwing the stone to the right of the tree. So he threw the stone to the right side of the tree, and the stone still went to the left side of the tree. So she said, try again. And he threw the stone again to the right side of the tree, and again it went to the left side of the tree. So he said, what I want you to do, I want you to throw this stone as far as you can to the right of the tree. So he threw his stone as far as he could to the right, and it went all the way to the right of that tree. Then she said, now throw the stone, and he hit the tree. He threw his stone and crack, it hit dead center of the tree. Okay, so that's the little story. There is a bit of a moral in that story. I don't know if anybody feels like they know what that might be, but add it to your graphic harvest. You know, what do you think that this I guess this meeting or this story is about? Okay, I'll give you a little bit of time just to finish through. Okay, how are you feeling? Is everybody finished? Yeah. Okay, great. Well, the moral of the story for me is sometimes we do things to the left. For example, sometimes we might talk too loud. So we have to experience talking very quietly before we can find our balance. And that was the moral of the story, really, just finding balance between extremes. And sometimes we don't even realize we're at an extreme until we try and we still talk loud. So, yeah. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, what I've done, I've shown you just the very basics of graphic harvesting because it's really important with World Café, which is going to be the second part of this presentation. So within World Café, graphic harvesting plays a very important role for gathering the information. And I guess it's really good because it gets everybody involved, and it just also creates a wonderful piece of art that can be shared in the group and outside of the group on social media and in so many different ways. It's very, very effective, I find. And I really enjoy graphic harvesting. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move on. Okay. We're going to move on to what is World Café. So the World Café is a method of creating a living network of collaborative dialogue around questions that matter in real life situations, helping to engage participants, increase productivity, and enrich group learning. So what is a World Café good for? It's a great way of creating interaction and dialogue with large and small groups. It is particularly effective in revealing collective wisdom in groups of diverse people. I really like this one, actually, this collective wisdom, because through some of the World Cafe sessions that we've done, I've taken part in the past, this collective wisdom seems to seep in. These ideas and stories and things that have happened to us individually are shared, and this collective idea of what's happening emerges. And I think it's a wonderful thing. The cafe format is very flexible and it can adapt to many different purposes. And also, it is very fun. So the operating principles of World Café. So create a hospitable place, explore questions that matter, encourage each person's contribution, connect diverse people and ideas, listen together for patterns, insights, and deeper questions, make collective knowledge visible. So it's interesting because I have never experienced the World Cafe on Zoom, online. It's always in person. So the environment is very important. So we usually have tables. So say if we had three questions, we'd have three different tables and each table would have a question and the people around that table would deal with that question and then share at the end. So yeah, and a nice piece of art is always created in this due to the graphic harvesting. Okay, so the roles in a World Cafe. This is very important because I'm going to ask each of you to choose a role as when we do our World Cafe in this Zoom session. Okay, so you have the first role is host. So I'd like three of you to choose to be a host, and you will be the ones that are holding the question on that particular table for that group, and you will stay on that table. Then there'll be a participant, which could be more than one, and a participant on the table will take visual notes. So it'll be your responsibility to kind of do drawings and write down key parts. A thing with graphic harvesting, which I may not have mentioned, is that writing is very important as well. It's not just images and drawings, but also writing down key points using colorful pens and interesting shapes is very, very key. So having a huge title in bright orange and then having maybe someone's hand raised next to it is very, very effective for grabbing someone's attention and helping them to remember what the subject was about. Okay, so the third role is a bumblebee. So the bumblebee is very interesting. The bumblebee has the ability to kind of move between workshops, sharing and making connections. So it's kind of like a bumblebee with pollen on its back. So it moves from flower to flower, collecting pollen, but also leaving a little bit of pollen in that flower as well. So the next one is a butterfly. The butterfly, they take time out to reflect between workshops and share at the end. So a butterfly will kind of flutter over to a table, listen, maybe not share so much, take in some information, maybe write down some notes, and then they will flutter to another table and do the same. And then at the end of the session, they will share. Okay, so we're going to try and give this a go. Okay, this is going to be very interesting. So what we're going to do, how many is in the group? Let me just. Okay, so we have 22. So what we're going to do, we're going to create 3 groups. And okay, there can be more than one host and there can be more than one participant. Actually, yeah. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, so I'd like you to choose who would like to be a host. If you just put your hand up, I'm just going to write down your name. Okay, Maxine. Okay, we need a minimum of 3. Okay, Lena.
Lena. Okay.
Who else would like to be a host? We need one more.
Okay, Caroline.
Caroline. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so Maxine, Lena, and Carolina are currently hosts for for each table. And I'm going to give you the 3 questions in a moment. You're going to hold the question. So when we go into the groups, you will start the conversation about this question and then everybody will share and learn. Okay, so who would like to be a participant? Okay, Noah. Okay, Daisy. Okay, Deborah. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Mama. Okay, anybody else? For those with their cameras off. Ah, okay, Gina. Okay. So you are participants. So you're going to be responsible for making visual notes, okay, on your table. Okay, so just taking notes down, you know, you can do some of the drawings and it seems a bit daunting.
I'll go.
You're going to have a go, Carl?
Now, what I was going to say is, if you take myself, yourself, and Nicole out of the equation, then you're working with 19. And so 2 groups of 6 and a 7.
Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're going to bounce you through the groups and see if we can move some of the next 2 roles are going to be roles that kind of bounce between groups. So the next role is a bumblebee. And the bumblebee is the ones that kind of pollinate in different places. So they're going to be moving they're going to be moving between the 3 groups. So who would like to be a bumblebee?
Was that your Anne, Daisy?
Is that something?
I don't know. Oh, you're adjusting your camera.
I can see.
Yeah, I already got a role.
You already got a role. Okay.
Yeah, Drew is a bit quiet. I don't know if it's my end or everybody. Drew, you're not loud enough.
It's not loud enough. I've got the microphone right to my mouth. I'm trying to, I think, okay, how about now? Is it still quite difficult to hear me?
Yeah, that's okay.
It's okay? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so a bumblebee. Okay, 2 participants have said they will be bumblebees. It's, okay. Light up.
Is that Karina? Karina, light up, and
okay, I can only see Karina lights up.
and is there? That's all I could see. We need one more. One more bumblebee. Don't be shy. You're amongst friends. The best way to learn is to have a go. And if you haven't done this before, this is a good opportunity to have a go.
Yeah, the bumblebee's role is quite nice, actually.
It is a very nice one. Everyone's going to put their hands up now. It really is a nice one.
Yeah, you just kind of float around, you bounce around from group to group, just listening.
You're going to move from different groups and just listening in on what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about butterfly?
Hang on, we've got one.
Okay.
Rogelio.
Rogelio. Okay. Thank you.
Well done, Rogelio.
Okay. So now we have butterfly.
Butterfly.
Who would like to be a butterfly? Okay, David. Any more butterflies? Okay, that's okay. So we're going to have one butterfly, which is going to be David. So you're going to float around between the 3 groups, and then you'll
I think we have Leon as well.
Leon?
Yeah.
Aha. Okay, I see. Leon.
I was on mute. Sorry, there's 2. One more. Karina's already bumblebee. So she just can't get her hands down. Somebody mentioned it yesterday. It's not that easy to get it down once you got it out. Is there one more person for butterfly? Just one. Okay, what we could do, we could see how many participants we have or what's left over. Oh, hang on, Francine. Okay, well spotted. Okay, so we've got them. So we've got, just for sake of clarity, butterflies, David, Leon, and Francine. Bumblebees, Karina, Light Up, and Rogelio. And hosts, Maxine, Lena, and Caroline.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So now we're going to throw you into 3 breakout rooms. Okay. Actually, I'm going to give you the questions first. So yeah, these questions are for Maxine, Lena.
Sorry, Drew, sorry, there was a question I missed from Noala. She asked, could you repeat 1 and 2? Noala, can I just check? Has that been answered?
Yeah, it's okay now. Sorry,
Okay.
I had to miss a few seconds, but it's okay now. I get it. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to give you the 3 questions. Okay. I'm just going to give the question to each of you and say that this is your question. Okay. So the first question, and Maxine, you can have this question. The question is, what creates connection in a group? Okay. Room 2, what are the benefits of working in a group? And number 3,
who's that one for? Sorry, Drew.
Oh, sorry. So the second one, Lena, you can have that question. So what are the benefits for working in a group? And then the third one is going to be for Caroline, and that is, how can we create more healthy, diverse groups? Okay, and take these questions where you will. You know, it's try and really expand it, really expand on this. Okay, so now we're going to throw you into breakout rooms, and we're going to have 20 minutes with these questions, but we're going to move you guys, we're going to move you around, okay, within the questions. So we're going to move the bees and the butterflies around. So lights up, Karina, Rogelio, David.
Tony hasn't been assigned.
Sorry?
Tony, he just came in. He came in late.
Okay.
So you just want to explain what we're doing again, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to be doing a World Café now. And actually, I think anybody that doesn't have a role will just automatically be a participant. Okay, so you'll just stay in the group that you're in. But sorry, what was the person's name who just joined?
Tony.
Tony. Oh, Tony. Okay, Tony. So you can choose to be, okay, we've got enough hosts, we've got enough participants, but you can be a bee or a butterfly. And a bumblebee moves from group to group. So it's kind of like the true role of a bee, where it pollinates different flowers. So you're going to go from one kind of room to another, learning things and sharing, and then taking them to other groups and seeing if there are any connections, any kind of themes that are running through, which there definitely will be. And then the butterfly, if you choose to be a butterfly, is you will kind of flutter from group to group, and then at the end you will share your insights, anything that you've learned or gathered. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so the 3 groups, okay, let's do some sharing and see if we discovered anything new. Okay, so we're going to start with the first group, if that's okay. So we'll start with Maxine's group, which was the question, what was your question, Maxine?
Our question was what creates connection in a group?
Okay, so the participants that were in Maxine's group, you can unmute yourself, and you can and also Maxine, you can also unmute yourself, and yeah, just share some of the insights from your sharing, your group.
Noala, do you want to go first?
Yeah, if you've done some drawing, please press it against the camera so we can see it.
This is mortifying. We were looking at the idea. Can you see anything at all? I don't know how this. Can you see anything? I don't know. We were looking at the idea how, you know, if we were friends already, that how it would feel being in the group, and then the people's facial expressions when you enter the group affects how you might feel, and then other people might have had bad experiences in groups, so other people might feel, if it was all people who were exactly the same, who were kind of all looking the same, how that would affect things. if there was, yeah, the same characteristics, if there was an age thing where everyone was one age except for a few people that are different age. And this was all about safe space, feeling safe, and feeling vulnerable, how that could link people, and finally all about staying for the full session, not sort of dipping in and out. And all those types of things going on in groups can define how we feel or don't feel. Ish. Was that right, Maxine?
No, you definitely captured all of those points, and just a reflection on my experience is I naturally just defaulted into a welcome role rather than focusing on the question. So for me, it became more important as butterflies and bumblebees were jumping around to catch them up and to make them feel welcome, as opposed to remaining focused onto a topic. So just not wanting to make people feel invisible became more important, which I guess might be relevant or may have actually, but it might not have helped achieve a goal. That's all I'd say.
No, I think it's very relevant because it's very, very important, because it's all about connection. And when someone enters a group, just like you said, it's nice to feel accepted by the people in the group and introduced and seen, So yeah, that's a very good role. It's a very good host, very good host. Okay, so thank you very much, Group 1. Thanks very much, Nala and Maxine. So Group 2, so Lena's group. And Lena's participants as well. And Lena, could you please unmute yourself so we could, because then we have you big screen so we can see your wonderful graphic harvest.
Sure, can Deborah, do you want to do the speaking? Because you were so brilliant.
Okay,
and I'll be the visual host.
All right, that's very complimentary. I think I'm a little bit like Maxine in that way. I think that when people, come together, I'm the one that tries to hold them together and make them feel welcome and make them seen and heard and just make sure that everybody's happy. So I think I sort of ended up sort of helping Lena, or hosting a bit anyway. Right, so we had a look at a range of things. So our question was, Lena, do you want to pop up the question again? Sort of down a bit. Yeah. What are the benefits of working in a group? So we had two people sort of making drawings, and I know that Daisy did her drawings too, and Lena coloured hers in. But anyway, so some of the things that came out of the group was it brings ideas together, a sense of community, it fosters a sense of community, volunteers can work together, and you get more done when you're in a group than on your own. It's the sharing of knowledge, expertise, and good practice as well. Collective responsibility comes from that too. Development of trust, we think, is very important to feel a sense of trust with working with others. It's also, you can express yourself in a safe environment. We felt that was important. The learning of new things and skills. As a group, it gives self-development, and you can build on your skills as well that you have. Develop listening skills and respect for others. Better communication and organizational skill development. It's a collective of resources. So by that, we mean it's what you're bringing to the table. Everybody comes with different things, and we feel that can complement the group. Yeah, because everybody's bringing their different skills to the table. It creates empathy as well, we feel. And the power distribution, we were informed the power distribution then becomes horizontal. I really like that because there's a lot in that. It's really nice. It fosters a culture of transparency. And also there was one of privileging of relational transactional, I think it was, but that was so lovely because it's quite rich in its it's quite rich in its thoughts. So I quite like that one. So yeah, we looked at quite a lot of things, and everybody contributed, and everybody brought things to the table. And Lena did our drawings, so you'll see them popped up there. If Lena just presses them against the camera, you can see them in all different colors. So as we said words, she put the words down and made them into different colors, and fostered a sense of community. And yeah, there we go. Collective responsibility, safe spaces. And you see some little matchstick people all working together for the greater cause. Does that sound like us?
Thank you.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, Daisy also did drawings as well.
Thank you very much. That's amazing. You can see how the graphic harvest that you created is so engaging. The colors that you've used is really vibrant, and you want to pay attention to it. You want to go into it and learn more. So I know the image can hold so much more information. So yeah, thank you very much, Lena. Thank you very much, Deborah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just quickly want to say, yeah, the bumblebees and butterflies were excellent. They flitted in and flitted out and did exactly what they were supposed to do. Brilliant. So thank you to the butterflies and bumblebees. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have the third group, which was Caroline's group. Yeah, if you could unmute yourself and share what some of your insights.
So we had the question, how can we create more healthy and diverse groups?
Yes, please. And the participants in group 3, please unmute yourselves and feel free to share as well your illustrations, your graphic harvests.
Well, I didn't do any drawing. I just did the writing. So I can say what I had written. I don't know if any others did any drawings from the team. Did anyone else do any drawings? So what came out of our group was a safe space where the group can talk and be heard. We have encouraged diversity, have images, which is inclusive of diversity, marketing materials. We also had like the power structure, organizational structure of the group. Diverse recruitment. The topics need to be open and wide. Partnerships, the tone of the voice of the host. We also had the group to be listened to, trust issues, and broader ideas, and be more productive, and inclusive behaviors as well. Okay. I don't know if anyone else has got anything to say from the group.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Gina. Thank you very much, Caroline. Yeah, so interesting. Okay. Okay, so now all the people that were bumblebees, if you could unmute yourselves, and yeah, so that's Light Up, Karina, and Rogelio. If you could share your experience with us, how did you feel? Did you find any connections between the groups, or were there any themes that were, or other than working in groups, any other themes that you found kind of circulating through the 3?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, from my side, yeah, like the third group I was into, I think it was me, I've forgotten her name, Maxi. Yeah, when I joined the group, there was a sense of woman and a welcoming part there. And because you are is a bomb bee, you can't learn that much because you have to be floating in one group to the other. You can't get that, you can't get more in it than you being part of the participants, like being part of the group, because you have to float in each group. So there's a sense of you can't get more in it. So that was one thing I've learned, and yeah, that's my honest.
Yeah. For me, I think moving from one group to another, the recurring theme for me is openness. I think, but openness is something that you don't just open. So it has to be like there. It has to be a decision, and it has to be like there is how I cannot think of any word, like an infrastructure, like culture or dynamics that will allow openness. So I think based on what I've heard, moving from one group, I think that's the recurring theme among the three groups.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Karina, would you like to share anything?
Yes, sure. So I think in each of my experience in each of the groups were that everyone add value to each of the questions, and the theme that I kind of observed in each group was that everyone wants to create a safe space in a group, whether it was a question if about healthy and diverse groups, or how to make it more engaged. The theme was the sense of community and a safe space, and that was kind of the theme that I observed in each group. But I think the sense of adding value and engaging to the question, I thought that was really nice, and I think that's what also we want to have in the groups that we work.
Yes.
But yeah, that was really good and useful even for myself, get that knowledge and the experience.
That's great. Thank you very much, Karina. Okay, so now we have the butterflies left. So, okay, we have David, Leo, and Francine. So would you like to unmute yourselves and share anything from your experience, or any insights that you gathered from the different groups?
I'll kick off. Observations, the group benefits of working as a group and the making connections groups, they were the most vocal in regards to conversation-wise. With the benefits of working in a group, everybody interacted in that group. Deborah was quite fantastic actually bringing the group together. And what was really helpful for me when I joined the group as a butterfly is that Lena had the name of the group, and she held that up all through the time that I was there, whereas the other two groups didn't. So it was quite easy for me to know in advance when I joined what the group. I think that's really important. Whereas the other two groups, I had to stay in there a little while to find out what they were actually talking about. What was the group making connections? Is it Maxine? She welcomed me straight away. That was really comforting, because as soon I wasn't in there 30 seconds, and she said, "Hi David, how you doing?" So that was good. And I think that's really important if you're floating around like that and somebody welcomes you into the group. And it makes you feel much more comfortable. Even though Deborah's group was very chatty, and you wanted to actually participate in the conversation because there was so much going on. So that also was quite interesting. Now the group that was the most quietest, I couldn't work out who was the host, although Gina spoke the most. I think the whole time that I was in there, I think Gina was the only person that spoke, apart from you, Drew, when you went in there, and she gave the whole list. But I wasn't 100% sure if Gina was supposed to be the host, and the rest were quiet, and I wasn't quite, it was quite uncomfortable being in the group when everyone was quiet apart from Gina. So I guess one of the things that, on reflection, it's really important that the host is able to bring people in and keep that conversation going. Now, because I joined that group second, I don't know whether or not, there was so much conversations that happened before that everybody were completely exhausted. I don't really know. So that's the other thing, you know, joining the group halfway through, you don't actually know what has gone before, and you may well join that group when they're totally, you know, gone through everything that they could, and they're just sitting there waiting for the group to kind of end.
Right.
So that's that's
that crossed my mind too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my observations and my reflections. But an interesting, yeah, I found it really interesting, you know, floating around the groups like that. And, you know, the importance, I think the key takeaway for me is really the importance of the individuals who are hosting that group to keep the energy going and, you know, to bring people in as much as possible.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. Very, very insightful. Okay, so Leo or Francine, would you like to share anything?
Francine. Okay, maybe not Francine. Well, I found all three groups were different. I started off in the first group, so I knew what the brief was from the get-go and saw the way they formulated into the roles. Maxine took a leadership role, very welcoming and good facilitator, and everyone had clear roles. Lena was clearly doing the visual stuff and very good at doing it, had the color pens and all the rest of it. So that worked out. So they pretty much had roles, knew where they were. I contributed a little bit. Then I was given my official role by Carl, who clarified. Then I thought, okay, hold on, maybe I shouldn't be helping her. Maybe I should just be observing. Okay. So when I hit the second group, I knew more what was expected of me. But again, Deborah was a good facilitator and clearly the leader. So conducting our orchestra. I asked a question so I can be up to speed. Might I know what's gone on before? And she very quickly read out her list, the question and the list. So I could then feel a part of the flow. Arrived to the third group and the energy was lower in that group. I wasn't sure the reason why, but it could be just the way the personalities were picked. It just worked out that group, they weren't so chatty. To ask the question, and yeah, Gina was the only one that really spoke. So it might have been just Gina in that group. No, I'm not sure. However, you can see that the roles, I try to help them by giving a steer that the other groups have got roles and they know who's writing, who's drawing, who's presenting, who's talking. But I think I got there too late for that one because they already hadn't got the roles buttoned down. Hence, when it comes to presenting, no one's got drawings. No one's writing. However, the information that Gina had written down was still a quality piece of work. So although the energy was lower and some of the things were missing in terms of individual roles, Gina still captured some of the answers and was able to present that. Hope that helps.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you very much, Leon. Okay, Francine, would you like to share?
Hi, everyone. Me, being a butterfly, flitting all over the place. Yes, going through the different groups. Like I started off with Maxine, and we were just getting into it, and then I had to fly off. So, you know, we were just picking up on some of the main areas, like the question was, what creates connections in the group? I would say like age, ethnicity, gender, transparency, engagements. No, that wasn't I've read the wrong one. Sorry. It was how we create healthy and diverse groups. So safe space, advice, and things like that. So we were just starting. So in the beginning, it was like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Because it's all new to us. But by the time we started to I moved through other groups, they were sort of more into it sort of thing. And then we went into what creates connection in the group. And like I said, the age and everything. And And then my last group was what are the benefits of working in the group? That was with Deborah. And there was a lot more things coming out, you know, quick fire more so. And, you know, we were welcomed in the group. And, but when you move from group to group, you don't get the beginning. So when you're joining in late, it's like it takes you a few minutes or a little while to figure out what's going on and the dynamics of the group. So that's what I found. It's hard to, you know, like when you're late for a meeting and the meeting started and you're rushing in, by the time you collate yourself and calm yourself down and try and pick up where, you know, the meeting's like almost at the end and you're like, oh, well, what were they talking about? So you put your pen down and think, I'll just listen to that, you know? So it's one thing that I found, because I'm a person that I have to be at the beginning so that I can follow it all the way through, and I've got my pen and paper so I can make my notes. But jumping through, it's like trying to do it on the hop kind of thing. So that's how I found being a butterfly.
It's very interesting. Thank you very much, Francine. It's yeah, I guess it's one of those, it's good to experience all three of those roles actually, because sometimes you're in a situation and you just have to, you know, you get what you get, you know, and you work with that. And yeah, and also it has its benefits, you know, not being stuck into one particular conversation. You can flutter around and learn from multiple places. But yeah, I do definitely understand the idea of being in the beginning so you get the full story of that group. But yeah, well done. Thank you very much. Okay, I realize we're coming quite close. Well, yeah, we're at the...
I mean, at this point, I just want to, there's a few things I wanted to share, because I picked up that this approach is not necessarily something that most of you on the platform this evening, this afternoon, are used to. And it's nice to see people having a go at graphic artistry and creative ways of capturing voices, because quite often we get so used to trying to write, and then we tend to want to write everything we hear, and it's almost impossible. And for those who are having a go, I'm hoping they will find that you could capture the nuances of the conversation just as well through the graphic representation and reflection. I think that's the point that Drew was trying to pull out at the outset, and you can see how the two components are actually complementary in terms of the conversation and capturing the nuances. And well, I'm going to share my screen because you might find this useful, and I'm going to I think it's I forgot who it was yesterday. I don't know if it was Francine yesterday. You might remember saying this. How do you drive traffic to your website? And whilst there is no single way, and we discussed a different approach yesterday around the e-commerce and using platform, but another way you could drive traffic to your website is using graphics. So this is a snapshot of Lena's presentation, or one bit of it, just to show you on your website, if you were to have something like this and draw people in based around something that you've done, not my version of it, but clearly you got very clear what are the benefits working. Now, if you imagine you're doing a piece of work around the benefits of something, and someone opens your website and see that smack in the face, they'd believe you're, I mean, they'll know that you're doing something. They'll be interested in learning. So you can see how a graphic can actually grab and hold people on your website. So don't be afraid to try, and I try to knit the areas of the webinars together so that you don't see it as disparate and fragmented. They are linked. And so that's just another version of the same. This is an example of when Drew and I and others were involved in a series of workshops around World Café, open space technology. And you could see people are engaged and the products are around. On another day, we'll forget about me, ignore me. But you can see in the backdrop some of what's happening. So in the real world outside of the platform, you'd want to create an atmosphere where people feel welcome and you can move around and do things. And this is, I don't know if Drew remembers this. And again, this is an example of the output of a workshop. And you can see how graphic art and design can actually bring alive some of what's been discussed. This is another example, different styles, different people. It doesn't have to be the same. This is another style, another version. So you're getting different groups representing and reflecting their sides on what's happening. And I only wanted to share that just to show you that don't feel awkward. It's about capturing conversation. And we've had a go. I mean, Drew is an artist, I'm not. But I have got my doodles. And when I take notes in using stick and also boxes and circles. You find something that works for you. And I think it is important that when you're thinking about your organization, your product, you think creatively, how can I drive traffic to what I am about, who I'm about, and where I'm trying to go. So all these are relevant pieces. It's there when you've got these stuck questions. Imagine working with counselors about a problem. Let's call it knife crime. Let's call it domestic violence. Let's call it whatever it is. It's a stuck problem, and your organization is there in the middle of it. You can gather your the people that you're working with, your beneficiaries, your clients, and host something like this, because those voices become enriched. And I'm looking forward to hear from Noala how the 17th of April will go, because again, there's someone having a go at it. So my plea to those people on the platform, learn from the likes of Drew, learn from the likes of William yesterday, and think about what we've been talking about, the purpose of your organization. The next session that we're going to be doing is going to try and say, if we want to influence policymakers, all that we've been doing so far will take you to a position. This certainly will, because politicians only have an attention span of about 4 lines.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Anybody who deals with politicians, it's a one-liner. They just want the bottom line. What's the bottom line? And then they'll read the rest at some point. It's the bottom line. A graphic representation hits them in the face. I hope that's helpful and it answers the question yesterday. I can't remember who asked the question. I think it might be Light Up, but if it isn't, forgive me. But somebody asked that question yesterday, how do we drive? And I thought that was very poignant just to show. So well done, Lena, and all the others. Anything
I can share it. I can share actually a graphic harvest that I just finished recently. If you'd like to see, like, this is a company asked me to come in and do this. Well, actually it was on Zoom, but I attended a meeting and I did this. It's about COVID. I thought it was good. It was a good meeting. I'll share this with you quickly. So it was the impact of COVID on young people, on young care leavers. So I took their information and I just did little illustrations, kind of, so you clearly see what's happening. Like, this woman has a bandage over her entire body. You know, this lady has a hole inside her stomach. This is it. She's in a jar. You know, this guy is tired of being on Zoom, extremely tired, trapped inside a home. But these things, they say so much. You know, this plane has a thing around it, but they use this as publicity for their organization. So they send it out to everybody in their team just to show what their group were talking about and how they felt. Yeah.
Okay. Any last minute questions? We're 9 minutes after 5. We don't normally stay on this long, but any main big questions that you haven't had a chance to ask Drew whilst he's here? Can I ask for indulgence of a few minutes just to answer 1 or 2 questions?
Sure.
Any questions?
Drew, what software is the best software to use if you're not that great at drawing, but you when they get those images.
Right, you know, actually, I've done a little bit of work on a program called Prezi. It's actually what I used to create the presentation for this.
Okay.
And it was has a large database of images that you can kind of click and grab and drop onto a kind of on a whiteboard space. It's a very good way of just dropping text and images to create a graphic harvest like this. And also Doodly, I use Doodly a lot, which is really good. Yeah, but Doodly has, I usually use Doodly for illustrating my illustrations, which is really effective. But yeah, Doodly and Prezi are two that I really enjoy using. And I also use the Adobe Suite stuff, Photoshop and Illustrator.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If there aren't, then I wish to thank Drew and everybody online, and for your patience, and more importantly, your engagement, because I'm sure many of you probably thought, God, I can't draw, and this guy's going to get me to draw. So those of you who thought that and did it, well done. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, participants. And we look forward to next session, which we're going to be looking at systems thinking. So we're going to get you to really think about where you are. I'll say no more. Brilliant. Thank you all very much. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.